Hi everyone, I'm Tanner Skrocki, and in case you don't know us, my wife Amy and I design and make all of the pieces that you see on our channel. Today we've put together our top 7 tips for those of you who are trying to price your items for craft shows or to list on Etsy. Over the past 11 years, Amy and I have done hundreds of shows, and we sell online as well. We often have other vendors coming up at various stages of their career asking us for tips and advice. So we thought we'd put together our top 7 tips of things to consider when pricing your own work for craft shows or on Etsy, Amazon, etc. 1. Cost of supplies. You need to accurately record how much it will cost for each supply you will require, including any taxes, shipping, or import charges. 2. Your labor costs. Your labor cost is not what your income will be. Your income is decided after all expenses have been paid once you have invested money back into your business for new ideas, new equipment, and craft shows. Your labor cost is more of your studio rate per hour. What is your skill level and how long have you been doing your art or craft? How much would you have to pay someone per hour if they were doing it for you? If you're a jeweler, seamstress, you can easily find this information by looking up the jobs online and seeing how much they're being paid. 3. Miscellaneous costs. Overhead. Do you need to rent a space? Or how much space within your home do you need to allocate to your business? If you're like most of us crafters, all of it. There are a few other specific considerations we've broken out for you. Shop supplies. This includes items that break down over time or have a single use like scotch towel, sandpaper, or soap. Utilities. Some crafts require a lot of power or water or specialized lighting or heating. This will impact your power bill. Tool depreciation. Amortize it over time and based on how much you would pay for the equipment when you would need to replace it or repair it. You also need marketing material like signs, business cards, packaging, etc. What kind of miscellaneous costs do you have in your business right now? Shipping supplies. If you're selling online, you will need to purchase adequate shipping supplies for each type of item you make, so you'll need to factor in the cost of these materials when you are creating your listings. Items with lower shipping costs typically do better on Amazon and Etsy, and it's something we noticed with our website as well. So we include the supplies into the cost of the item. Direct costs, cost to enter shows or sell and advertise on Etsy. This includes the cost of renting the space, making the listing and advertising it. It also includes parking, gas, food, coffee, any extra vendor passes, hotels for out-of-town shows, etc. We often hear how happy some vendors are when they make $300 over the cost of a $500 entry fee. What they didn't think about is all the extra costs surrounding the booth I mentioned above. Now, when they go to rebuy the supplies to remake the $500 of products they sold, they realize when added to the other costs, they more or less just gave away everything for free. Also, if you're not carefully tracking your costs, you may not even have enough money to re-sign up for the same show again, even if you technically made more than the booth cost. If you'd like to see our pricing formula and how we make it on Excel, please let us know in the comments below. 5. Lowest price. What is the lowest price you can find from another Etsy seller, other crafter of a similar item with similar materials and quality? How is yours different? Could you have made it for that price? Would you be happy if you received that amount? Would you want to make another one from scratch for that price? People don't actually buy crafts based on price. If they wanted something that was the cheapest, they'd go to the dollar store. So when you are looking at the lowest cost, don't try to match that price, because these makers are often hobbyists who aren't really interested in making a profit or even enough to replace their supplies. If you try to price it at the lowest dollar price, chances are they may price it lower than yours just to remain the lowest price. You need to be fair to yourself. Consider the cost to produce the items and what a reasonable wage is for yourself. Sometimes people only want recognition for their creativity, so their prices are much lower than every other craftsperson or artist. These makers often have another job they love and have no desire to do their craft either full-time or even part-time as an extra stream of income. 6, highest price. What is the highest price you can find from another Etsy seller or crafter making the same type of item as yours? How is yours unique or different? What other value are you offering that they aren't? What is different about yours, and how do you justify the cost you are charging? Are they using higher quality versions of the same raw materials? Are they offering something that you aren't? Or are they simply charging more just because they can? Can you find supplies or ways of doing things that are cheaper so your prices aren't the highest? If they are on Etsy, you can look and see how many sales they have. However, any item, depending on how it's presented or advertised, can charge premium prices if the market is willing to pay for them. 7, wholesale and consignment. Do you ever plan to wholesale or consign your work? It's something you need to think about when you're starting your business, as it's difficult to change your product prices later on without changing your product offering by adding more value or changing to a totally different item and starting over. One good test would be, ask yourself, if I'm selling this item for $40, would I be happy to make $20 off of it? Generally speaking, wholesale, consignment, and gallery sales will only yield you around half of what you're charging at retail, with the other half going to the store or gallery. And most of those establishments will also want you to be selling at the same price they are, so pricing your products as twice as expensive in the galleries compared to your booth or Etsy shop isn't a good strategy. You need to be happy with this because you may want to buy new equipment to expand your product offering. You may want to try new techniques and equipment to speed up your processes and lower other costs like labor. And you may find it takes longer with this approach, or it may not even be possible at all, since the margins will be much tighter. Some crafters only wholesale or consign, so they will have to make enough from these items to keep going and to keep expanding their business. It may not generate a lot of profit, but they won't be able to operate at a loss for too long. Also, consider if the stores and galleries happen to do really well, would you be happy remaking the same thing over and over as fast as possible for the minimum amount you're willing to accept per item? So you may have seen different pricing formulas online, in other literature, or heard some from your friends or fellow vendors. Many people say, hey, just go 2.5 times the cost of supplies, add some labor, add a little bit of overhead, and you're good to go. However, if you don't consider all the different aspects that we've discussed in this video, at the end of the month or maybe the end of the year, you may find that your perceived profits are kind of eaten away by all the costs that you had over the year that you didn't even realize were building up. If you're in the position where you're doing this as a part-time gig, you don't want to end up funding your craft business with your profits from your day job. If you're doing this as a full-time gig, you don't want to end up piling more and more debt on yourself in hopes that it will just sort itself out in the end without ever really investigating all the costs and places that you may be losing money that you were totally unaware of. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. For more videos about the craft business, tutorials on crafting and photography, please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications.